Okay, it says we're live, and we're back here live with the Powder Coder podcast. Let me think about where I am. It has been such a crazy week. I really have to kind of check myself and see where am I and what am I doing and what am I thinking. But today I'm really excited because I've been talking to Justin Marshall for a long time, and I decided he had an interesting post on Facebook the other day, and I'm like, you know what? We haven't talked about this yet. And I like these lives because we're just shooting the breeze. Today it's Texas tea with Justin Marshall. I don't know what Texas tea is. I just thought that sounded funny or interesting or whatever.
So Texas tea is actually a alcoholic beverage.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Well,
and
perfect timing.
yeah, perfect timing. Right at the end of the day for me. It's just kind of middle of the day for you, huh?
Yeah, it's 2 o'clock.
Okay.
But it's early. It's good enough.
Yeah, good enough.
It's good
I
enough.
would say anytime afternoon, then you're good.
It's good enough because Ross is on a plane to Las Vegas. So
Oh,
I can, yeah, he had a kind of an interesting job, believe
hmm
it or not, that he'll be powder coating in Las Vegas. So I can't tell you much more than that, but I'm really looking forward to the outcome, and we hope that we sent enough powder and got him
yeah.
on the plane. And
I'm
yeah,
interested to see the outcome of all that. That's pretty cool.
yeah, it sounds like it's gonna. I mean, just the concept alone seemed really interesting,
hmm
and so I'm really excited to kind of see what the outcome will be. He's just literally flying in Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and he leaves Monday, comes home. So
Wow. Hey, that's a cool gig to get on, though.
yeah.
Have
So
to
who do
just
we have
travel
here? We
across.
got Shane Blackburn and Polly Singh. Hello, welcome to the podcast.
What's up, Shane? Shane's a good customer of mine.
Oh, awesome.
Um, I don't recognize the other name, but they might be a customer of mine or a customer of yours. I'm not sure, but
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know
know
how to
who's
see that.
been.
How do I see who's on? Oh, that's on Facebook though, huh?
Yeah, you can. Can you see? I think you can see what I see, right? Do you see the
Um,
comments?
I got to get on Facebook. I'm not even on Facebook. I just got my, I was struggling getting the Chrome worked so me and you can see each other face to face.
Yeah, I guess you have to. I don't know. I suppose you have to have Chrome.
Let's
Uh,
see. Here we go. No, there it is.
oh, there's Paul Peters. Hi, Paul. And is Delbert Richardson? Is that somebody you know?
Yep. That's actually my uncle and another good customer of mine. I do
Oh,
quite a bit of
hi,
work for him too.
Uncle. Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah.
So we're here today because you made this post on Facebook the other day. I probably should bring it up, but it was just pictures that you had. I don't know. Let me
Mhm.
see if I can bring it up and show everybody. But it was just a post on job shop cleanup, right?
That's
So why don't you? I'm going to try to start bringing up this page or this post that you made if I can find it, and see if just kind of start talking about how often do you clean your shop. I mean, it's something that just drives me nuts because I always want it cleaner than it is.
yeah. Yeah.
I
100%.
never seem to get it really it never really stays clean, let's
No,
just.
it doesn't. It doesn't. And I struggled with that a lot this week after I did all the cleaning and everything. I struggled with a lot. I have jobs, obviously, we're backed up for shutting down for the week, and I have jobs waiting. But I really didn't want to powder coat or prep anything because my
Right.
shop was clean. I didn't want to mess it up. Do me a favor. I can't get on the Facebook. It's just showing me something unavailable. So if anything happens on Facebook, just let me know throughout the
Yeah,
day.
I'm on Facebook and I'll be here. I was just now when you posted that, did you post it on your personal page or your Triple G page?
I posted on both, I believe. So I don't handle Triple G. Anything that gets posted on Triple G, my wife handles.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I'm not sure the dynamic you and Ross have, but me and her are a team. She comes up to the shop a lot. She takes a lot of pictures and videos and stuff like
Yeah.
that for me. So she usually handles Triple G page. I do a little bit every now and then, like if she's not there, but most of the time, if I'm posting, it's going to be on my personal page. I have a lot larger following on my personal page, anyways. So
Oh
it
my
just
God, your daughter is amazing.
oh,
She's so pretty.
which
Jeez.
one? I got two of them. The old one and
Oh,
the
you
young.
got two?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have an 8-year-old daughter, a 6-year-old son, and then Grayson is 11 months now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the picture I see here.
Little
Oh, she's
baby, yeah, little baby girl. So my wife is excited. That's off topic, but my wife is excited because both our other kids look identical to me, identical. And you couldn't tell them if I put baby pictures of them up here on the screen, you wouldn't be able to tell which one's which. And they look just like me. And then finally, Grayson came out, and she looks just like my wife. So she was like, "Hey, we're done because I got one that looks like me."
Gave one for the team.
Yeah, that's right. But so back to the cleaning and everything. I'll be honest with you, I don't clean as much as I should. I wish I did.
No, I don't think any of us do.
It's hard in the powder coating world. It's very hard to
keep
everything clean when you're a job shop like we are. And some of the people listening, some of my customers, they might not know complete. Hey, there you go. I can see a little bit of Facebook now.
This is
that was on my personal page. That was on my personal page. So maybe I didn't post all that or didn't get all posted on Triple G, but
here's pictures.
Yep, I poured everything.
Wow, you really cleaned it out. Whoa.
I try to do that at least once a year.
It all out.
Yeah. So everything in my shop is on wheels, minus the oven in the booth. Everything that I have is on wheels. That way I can do this because I naturally by nature, like my house, my vehicle, everything, I'm a clean person. So I put everything on wheels when I was designing the layout of my shop and everything. I put everything on wheels. That way I could move everything out and clean. Now, once I got into it full time, because I went from a garage coder to having a shop and opening a full time business. Once I got into that, a couple weeks into that, I realized that keeping it as clean as I wanted to was never going to happen. On the timeline that I wanted it to happen, right? So, about once a year, if I'm lucky, sometimes I get twice a year, but I pull everything out like this in this photo and clean everything in the shop, and then one by one pulling. That's my workbench and my blast, one of my blast cabinets there, and then racks and everything back there. I clean those one by one before I bring them back in the shop.
Yeah, the powder goes everywhere, even in the bathroom, on the bathroom toilet seat.
It doesn't matter which booth you have, how much air you're drawing, anything like that. If you just replace your filters, powder gets everywhere.
Yeah, it does. And that was something we just brought Rob on. You might see him in the background here. And it was great because we finally had that extra person, that extra time in training and stuff like that to kind of have him help Ross kind of reset everything, because we were so overloaded all the time that maintenance was just like the bottom of the list. And, you can get by with that for a little while, but in a powder coating shop, I just felt like at some point something was going to break or bust or something,
eventually you have a catastrophic failure. And so I operate that way too. And I think a lot of us that do the same type of powder coating that we do, job shops, a little bit of production, a little bit of industrial, a little bit of custom. I think a lot of people feel that way. I'm good friends with most of the powder coaters here in Houston area. Scott, I talk to Scott daily. Zane at Clutch City Coatings, I talk to him daily. And I think every one of us are kind of in the same boat when it comes to maintenance and cleaning of the shop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you have a dirty shop, you're going to lend itself to contamination, number one.
So I fought that in a bad way about a year ago right now. It was about last February. So a big truck show in Texas is Lone Star Throwdown. That is one of, if not the largest truck show in Texas. And about a year ago now, because Lone Star Throwdown's at the end of the month, I think it's like the 22nd or something like that. I had a rush of jobs in my shop that needed to be at that show. And I had a set of American Force wheels in there, and I hadn't done any cleaning or maintenance in a while. So keep that in the back of your mind. That's why I'm big on cleaning now. And I did these wheels, and they were two-tone, so they wanted to keep a brush finish and then, a gloss black center. And there was a bunch of stuff that went into it. And I think I had about probably 6 to 8 hours in each one of these wheels. And got them all done, got them perfect, ready to put in the oven. Everything was great. Came out. Everything looked great. My lines were clean, good, crisp lines, but the wheels had trash in them. And this truck was supposed to be in an interview on – this was like a Friday, and they were supposed to be in an interview on Tuesday. with American Force in American Force's booth at the truck show.
No pressure.
Needless to say, we didn't make it, and
Oh,
it put a bad name on me. And I had several other coders. I reached out to several other coders in the area to see if they could help me out. And somebody got it. Joe Wall, I think, actually ended up finishing them up and getting them to the show, but they missed the interview. And I don't exactly remember exactly who. I'm pretty sure Joe is the one that finished them up. But contamination, that was how it happened. And so since then, obviously, right then, I shut my entire shop down and sourced all the contamination, cleaned everything from the ground up, and was like, okay, I got to get better at cleaning my shop on a more regular basis at this point, instead of getting a catastrophic failure right at the last minute.
Well, I think that's kind of an ironic story because you know, a powder coater would normally go into it thinking that the tape off or the having clean lines and having sharp edges and stuff was your worry, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't the other stuff.
I was fine with that, and I was confident when I put them in the oven. And when I remember the feeling right now of when I pulled them out and saw. They weren't even completely out of the oven. I hadn't put a flashlight on it or anything, and I could just see it.
You could already see without the flashlight.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh man!"
Was it just dust particles? What was the debris?
It was a little bit of dust, and it looked like there was some oil contamination in there too. There's a lot that goes into that, but come to find out, I'd found out that somebody had sprayed a bunch of WD-40 right by my oven intake, which powder coater painting, it doesn't matter. WD-40 or anything silicone is a bad thing, but it wasn't just oil. So I had the oil, and there was pollen and all kinds of contamination. It was just dust in general. Probably other colors were in there. I had to strip them and start all over, and I didn't have the time to do it, and it was a bad deal. So I learned right then, like, hey, we're going to have to get a better cleaning and maintenance schedule around here.
Right.
So I do my best.
I got two questions for you. One is, do you clean your oven, and how do you, if you do, how? Because I know some guys really struggle with rust and other kind of contamination going on in their oven. We don't seem to have too much. I don't see a lot of that happening here at our shop. Of course, our oven is way in the back, far from the door. And normally, we have a nice breeze coming through, but it's not like we're not in a dusty, dirty area to begin with. It's all concrete and stuff. So, like, I would say it's minimal.
So at my shop, our climates, I've traveled to Hawaii quite a few times, and I want to make it back now that we know each other, so I can come hang out and do all that. But our climates are similar. So as far as humidity and wind and rain and everything, in Texas, you might have, like today, it rained all day, but tomorrow it's going to be sun shining and, a lot. The weather's completely different. But at my shop, my door, the way my shop is laid out, my door is 20 foot long. My shop is 56 foot wide, somewhere around there. So my door is half of my shop, basically.
Right.
So my door is wide open, and there's right across the street from my shop there's another, they do awnings or something across the street. They have a bunch of big oak trees that when they lose their leaves or pollen falls or anything like that, it just goes right into my shop. So my oven does take a big hit. I clean my oven at least once a week.
Yeah, you can see the trees and stuff across the street. Yeah, is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's like a wall of trees over there. They have a driveway, and there's just a bunch of trees. But everything, basically the way the wind blows off the Gulf and the way my shop is set up, it blows right in my door. So we clean my oven about once a week. And that might be just a quick blow down. It just depends on what's going on, whether it's a blow down or a sweep up. I try to sweep up every couple of days, but a hardcore cleaning, wiping the walls, we do that about once a week, if not every other week.
And so what kind of oven is it? How big is it? And how are you cleaning it?
So my oven is a 20 foot by 8 foot by 8 foot Reliant oven.
Okay.
Bought it as a package deal from Powder X. I know Joey watches this, so hey, Joey.
Oh, he does? Oh, hi, Joey. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
I know he stays in touch with it. But yeah, I bought it from Joey when him and Reliant were paired together. I don't know if they are still or not. So it's a Reliant oven. And I clean it when I blow it down, sweep it up, and then wipe it down
Yeah.
with yeah. So that was when I was cleaning my filters.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
was bad. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
that
a
is
whole
bad.
mess
Oh,
in
wait,
itself.
sorry.
No, go ahead. I didn't shoot this video, so that I haven't actually watched this video all the way
Oh,
through. I
okay.
just posted it.
I like that. I like that she's filming it because, oh shucks, there went the.
Yeah, so that's a lot of stuff to cram in that little
Yeah,
space when you come around
she
there.
cut it off right when she was getting to the.
Yeah, so my wife Courtney, she didn't actually shoot that. She wasn't there that day. She
Oh,
that was there's a fabrication shop right beside me, and I post a lot of the gates and stuff that I do for them. That was the actual owner of the fabrication shop, Trevor.
okay.
He shot that video and sent it to me, and I never watched it. I just posted it because
It just got cut off right when he was turning and looking at the.
looking inside the shop. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wipe my oven down at least once a week, and when I do, or every, I would say every other week, consistently every other week. Most of the time it's a blow down, sweep up kind of thing. But when I do wipe it down, I use a mixture of water and Fabuloso, and that's it. Put it in
So
the bucket.
describe that product. What is that? I've never heard of it. What is it?
So Fabuloso is big down here in the South. It really doesn't have. I'd have to pull out a bottle, and I don't even.
Maybe we can Google it.
Yeah,
Let's try
you can
Google it.
Google
Keep
it.
talking.
It doesn't
I'll
really have a
Google it.
whole lot of cleaning properties, but it smells good. And it gives me here. Hang on, I got a bottle right here. My wife just brought it. Hang on one second. Let's see what ingredients it has in it.
Looks well. It's got the consistency of like a
It's just a
Windex.
mild detergent. It's not as strong as Dawn.
Oh, okay.
Let's see, but it gives a good scent. I have a lot of that around the shop. I don't see any ingredients on here. But it doesn't have a whole lot of cleaning agents, though. I don't want to put that's what I was getting at. I don't want to put a whole lot of. I don't want to go in there with like Simple Green or a real aggressive detergent because I don't want my oven to start rusting and things
And
like
you
that.
don't need a lot of residue either.
And I don't need a lot of residue. I just need something to knock off the excess.
Put it up again. Put it up again so everybody can see. Fabuloso.
Fabuloso. And again, people that probably know better than I do. Yeah, concentrated with water.
Okay.
And I probably do, I don't know, 3 or 4 parts that, and the rest water in a 5-gallon bucket. So and just dip a rag down in there multiple times. Probably not the best way to do it, but it does what I need to do. It knocks off any heavy stuff off the walls of the oven, and it cleans it up. And then after I get done doing that, that takes a while. Obviously, with a 20-foot oven, and I'm physically touching every surface of it. Then I crank it up to 500 degrees and let it run for 2 hours or so, and that bakes anything that this might leave behind. It bakes all that off, and it's worked well for me. I've done that for years. I mean, even back when we were still in the garage, I used this on my smaller ovens to help clean it up.
But you don't have any problems with rust like some other people do.
No, I have zero problems with rust. I have, I would say in the seams of where the panels of my oven meet, there's a little bit of buildup of something. I wouldn't necessarily call it rust, though. It's
right.
I think it's just buildup of excess powder floating around. Really,
could be.
Now, some of the screws, they might have a little bit of rust, but no. Overall, I mean, I feel like if I disassembled my oven right now and pressure washed it, you would never know that it's used. It stays relatively clean. I'll shoot a video of that in the next couple of days and show what it looks like right now. I cleaned it last week, but it still looks the same right now.
Yeah, because if you think about it, I mean, all of our equipment costs so much money. You have to maintain it. And even these larger job shops, like, the line coaters, when I interviewed Richard Ludwig of, I say ICE, I can never remember it's like industrial coating equipment. That's it. ICE.
ICE.
And that was, I love that guy. He was so knowledgeable. If you guys want to see a good industry 40-year veteran come on the show, that is the man right there. he, was saying that these line coaters and these, just industrial coaters or any custom coater shops too, they just work that equipment to the very tippy end, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Before they have to go and buy, because you're buying Reliant or any other brand, it's expensive.
It's very
Uh,
expensive. Yeah.
you know, and so you have to kind of just really take good care of your stuff so that you can just keep it going till you either need to upgrade or, because you're expanding, or you need
Mhm.
to just extend the life of it because it brings you more return.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, if my oven was to not work tomorrow, let's say I went into the shop tomorrow and it was just the walls were caked. I see some videos on some of those powder coating groups, and they're spraying in their ovens because they do a lot of stuff.
Oh no. Ugh.
That drives me wild because I'm sitting there thinking like, man, if my oven went down tomorrow, I could go buy another one, right? Like with credit or whatever the case may
Right,
be. But
because you have money coming in,
we're
right?
talking weeks before that. Right now, I think last time I talked to Joey, they're 24 months out on a build right now.
Uh-huh. Oh
And so, I mean, if I ruined my oven tomorrow because I wasn't keeping up with it, then I'm 24 months out of business, and then I won't be powder coating in 2 years. Just it is what it is. Um, so I think the overall maintenance of it is very important. Like it's a large investment, and you don't want to ruin that.
It's true. And you know what? Again, with the ICE interview with Richard, was there is no used market. I mean, where he's at, because he's building ovens, right? He's building
Mhm,
long
mhm.
distance, he's building ovens. He's basically, yeah, like a year out. He's months out, like kind of like where Reliant is too. They're all months away. I
It's
think it's getting better from the COVID, like,
Yeah, I mean, raw materials is just a hard thing to come by right now, and the price of just a roll of steel right now, or aluminum or anything, is just outrageous. So it takes a while to get all that in. So I came from the oil and gas industry, and I worked there for 12 years and did this kind of in my garage and started all that. And they did that. We run things out there until failure, and then once it failed, then you have a standby, and then you
right.
turn to the standby, and the other one goes just work. Well, I don't have that option. First of all, even if I did have a second oven sitting right there beside it, or in storage or something, we're talking tear down, reassemble, start. I mean, we're talking weeks, and I just don't have the time for that, and nobody does. I mean, I couldn't sustain it. We do good with everything that we have going on, but if I had to shut down for 10, 12 weeks to swap them out, it would never work. So I think that keeping it clean and doing the maintenance, keeping all your bearings greased and everything like that, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, we've got two ovens. We've got a small one that we use for small parts, and then we have, but they're so wildly sized different, that we have no medium, right?
Mhm.
Eventually what we'd like to do is have a third oven that is a medium size oven. So, we can kind of help like those in between jobs
In
that don't
between
fit in
jobs,
the,
yeah.
yeah. But, if it's not going to matter if one or the other go. I mean, I guess if the small one went, we could still use the
The
big
big
one,
one.
but then we lose profitability there. Our margins kind of shrink because of the costs involved in heating that thing up. But if the big one goes, then I mean, we can only do small jobs. Then it's like it can't go
Exactly.
for anything. So
And see, I'm in the same boat. I only have my big oven. I don't have a small oven anymore. I had a smaller one back when we were in the garage, and we had a big hurricane and flood come through here, and we had a significant damage to our house. So I lost my small oven at that point. And so I don't have that. I would love. I'm jealous of all these guys that have a smaller oven, or even like y'all. Y'all have a big one and a large one, because I have to heat mine up. It doesn't matter if it's so. That's why we have a shop minimum,
yeah,
because I have to heat that up, whether
have
it's
to.
one, let's just say a valve cover that could go in a smaller oven. Um, I don't have that option. If I got a valve cover that's going illusion purple, let's say, and then a rack of gloss black, I have to do those one at a time, and they have to go in the big oven.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if you can say. what your shop minimum is or how you arrived at your shop minimum, but do you want to talk about that? I know we're kind of talking.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, so my shop minimum is no matter what it is my shop minimum is $250. I start at that. Simply because my gas bill on a consistent basis for my oven on a monthly basis is $300, around $300 to $400. So at a shop minimum of $250, I kind of weed out those little small jobs that I really don't want to do.
Yeah.
Because I mean, let's be honest, with gun cleaning and booth cleaning and oven cleaning, I don't want to mess with something. Don't get me wrong, it got me where I am, right? But I don't want to mess with just one part. I'd rather you bring me multiple parts. It's easier on you. It's easier on me. So my shop minimum is $250, and my wife gets on me all the time. She says we need to raise that up. But I like to remember where I came from. I started in the garage doing nothing. So
Right.
I feel like 250 is high, but at the same time, I recognize the market that we're in nowadays, and I agree with her. It is probably kind of low, but I look at it on a monthly basis. My gas bill is usually about $300.
Well, maybe that's where you go with your minimum then.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. I look at it that way as if, okay,
Justin.
I can raise it up, and then it's very rare that we have to charge some. I got one person that comes in a lot, and I don't remember his name. He don't follow me on Facebook. I think his name is Alex. He brings me one or two parts every 5-6 weeks, and I'm not sure what he's doing, if he's telling people he's coding them or whatever. And every time I charge him that shop minimum, when really in reality they should be about $50 to do them, right? But I have to charge them that shop minimum, and every time I feel terrible doing it. I'm like, hey, dude, why don't you just save all this up? Because I know you're going to be back here in a couple weeks. We can do all this, and you're saving so much money. He's like, oh no, it's not. I'm not worried about it. Oh, okay, we'll do it.
Well, he's got an angle there, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know if he's telling people. Me and Zane were actually having this conversation the other day. There's quite a few people in Houston area that will say they're coding, but they're taking it somewhere else. And so that's kind of what I think is what he's doing. But I'm not sure. But hey, he pays me my shop minimum, and we knock it out. So it is what it is.
It'd be interesting to see if you did charge, and when I mean, if you've got an established, I guess my point is if you've established yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're starting to narrow, if you're at this point where you're starting to kind of narrow and weed out the bullshit,
mm-hmm.
Okay, don't be afraid to push back, right? To push it,
right? 100%
right. Don't be afraid, because you're kind of just testing it, really. You're testing the market, or you're testing your marketplace. And if you're not testing your marketplace, you could be losing out on, a few extra dollars every month, when all of this talk of, the supply chain and then, remember when the powder suppliers were just starting to kind of throw out their, well, we got to charge you, an extra 40 cents per pound for this and that, or whatever. I just was like, 65, that's my number. I posted it on my Instagram. It's like 65 for the second coat, which is the primer coat, and 65 a pound for powder. I'm sorry. It's just an easy number for me to remember. It's not you, it's me.
Well, hey, we all have that, right? So you just brought up something I'm curious about, just with y'all's climate and everything. So do y'all primer a lot of stuff? Y'all primer everything?
If it's industrial or architectural, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Unless the customer insists, or it's a budgetary thing, and they know about it and they're okay with it, we don't. We'll bypass that. When it comes to rims, it depends on how bad they are. Most we do not. It's just we're just doing we're just coating the color.
Okay, so y'all on the same boat I am. I got another local coder to me. He's a little bit smaller, but he primers everything, and he's basically losing his ass because he's not charging enough for primer, and his turnaround time's kind of crazy. And I talk to him quite often too. but he
Well, I hope he's blasting it, because what's
he's
the point of the
blasting.
primer? Okay.
He is blasting, but he's primering everything. So I don't primer like wheels, custom stuff. Most of the time, I'm not primering. I'll talk to the customer about it, but most of the time, they don't want to spend that anyways. But
Yeah.
industrial and architectural, I do prime. So that's why I was curious. Just
Well, your
cross the
reputation's
road
on
and
the
see.
line. If it can't last a year,
Yeah.
what's the point, right?
What's
Why
the
do
point of doing
architectural?
it?
Because that's what the architectural client wants, which is the contractor, the supplier, the sub, the welder guy. They're the ones that are passing the job on to you. And you have to understand, and it's funny because I don't think we've ever covered this before, but if you're working with a contractor, okay, a licensed contractor,
Yeah.
you have to understand that in their business, they are beholden to a 1 year warranty on everything they build, from the wood to the floor to everything. Warranties are very, very important to any level. If you could talk about a prime contractor, a subprime contractor, or you're down the street guy with with a beat
They're
up
held
old
to a
truck and
standard.
whatever. It's a 1 year warranty that the customer, or the residential customer, or the homeowner, whoever it is, can come back to them and say, this is shoddy, it's already failing, and you're liable. So if you're providing powder coating to these people, whether it's steel, aluminum, or anything in between, you need to make sure that you're able to verify, I don't know, not verify, but, and not even certify unless you're ISO certified or something like that. But you need to provide some understanding and guarantee or warranty, at least as best you can.
Yeah, as
Now
best you
we had a job, a nightmare job from the get, all through and through, from the day that thing left the shop and everything. And I think I might have mentioned it on an earlier show, where they ordered these posts that needed to be welded to like a plate. So they were, I guess they were support beams for the entrance to a metal building, but the metal building was a church. And so they're kind of like, okay, they got this metal building, which is industrial, but then they have this like architectural entrance where they're trying to make it churchy and, have a welcoming feel. And first of all, I don't know how this happened, but the plate that they welded to the post was, it was galvanized post that got shipped from the mainland, and it was a steel plate welded onto a galvan. And I'm like, well,
carbon steel plate.
the steel plate was already rusting by the time it got here.
Yeah, it was carbon steel then. Yeah.
The welder. And I'm like, well, what's the point at this point?
Yeah, it's already messed up. It's already got corrosion.
It's like, what do you guys, Frankensteining stuff here. And then of course, right from the get, we had severe outgassing, because literally the galvanize on this was so horrendous,
nightmare.
And then they picked an architectural color, like a bronze. And there was some pictures I'm almost embarrassed to show you, but I had to disclose it, obviously, to them. And they threw it back at the architect and saying, look, this is where they're at. And all I could do was say, literally, there was like a quarter size hole where the galvi was just bubbling. I mean, it was just oozing. I mean, like there was nothing there. It would just chip away. So there was nothing for the powder to even
adhere to.
Of course, it was that, super thick, at least a 16th or an 8-inch thick. And I'm like, okay, the best thing for you to do is just to go get some putty, fill it, and I'll send you some paint. And you can and that's it. I mean, I can't do anything more for these people. Like, some jobs just really go sideways, and all you can do is just try to manage it
to minimize the problem. Yeah.
And always disclose to these people as much as you can, because if you don't, it'll just really bite you in the ass. So we have some, let's just take a look at the comments here. Can you see the comments? I'm not sure.
I can't see them.
Okay, so let's see.
I
We've got
probably could if I knew what I was doing on Chrome or anything like that, but I can't see anything but me and you. That's it.
okay. Well, that's fine because I can read them and I think I can show people. So, um, oh, here, this is okay. Let's start with uh, Polly. And Polly says, what I respect about Justin Marshall is he does the job the right way, never hot flocks his item, and preparation is religious. I love that word. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Polly. What do you have a comment back to that?
Hey man, Paul is a good buddy of mine. He runs a coating shop in New Jersey. He was actually me and him met at a Powder X conference when I was purchasing my equipment. I had already been researching and talking to Joey, and he was like, "Hey, come on out here, look at all this. Let's see what we're got going on." And so I went through the course, and I met Paulie when I was doing that course with him. So Paulie runs a coating shop in New Jersey. Like I said, a good buddy of mine, but we talk all the time. He helped me with a lot of stuff early on, and I help him with a lot of stuff now.
Uh-huh.
Hey, I appreciate that, bud. Like the preparation is key, and I don't think it's talked about enough in powder coating. Anyways, you know, a lot of people think you just hang it and spray it and pray, but you know, if you're not prepped right. It goes back to just what you were saying, Kim. Is that like that galvanized? That it's all about prep. It doesn't matter what you do. Once you put it in the oven, that's the last stage, and you know, if it's not prepped right, then who knows what's coming out on the other end. So
Yeah,
I
it's
take
true.
preparation to a maximum in my shop. And I don't know if you saw it, I made a big post a couple of days ago about wanting to hire somebody full time. I've had people in there part time and full time that I just can't keep them around because they don't understand the preparation side of it. They're like, oh, well, I could skip this, I could skip that. And then when it gets into my booth, I know if something was skipped, right? And so
Yeah.
it's my name on it. It's Triple G's name on it when it leaves my shop, and I've prided myself on that ever since we were still in the garage. It was, hey, we're gonna prep this right, no matter how long it takes. If we're losing money on it or not, back in the old days,
Right.
we're gonna prep it right. It doesn't matter. And I've had plenty of jobs that I've had to restart over because it wasn't prepped right.
Yeah.
Hell, I got a set of old school steel wheels in the shop right now. I made a post about it earlier today. I was beating on it with a wrench just to do a durability test. Uh,
Right.
I physically prepped those myself. Nobody else did that. I did all that myself. Outgassed them, blasted them 2 or 3 times, and they still outgassed on me around the seam. So I'm
Wow.
redoing them. And the customer probably would have never noticed, but I'm just not going to let that leave my shop. So prep is I can't stress that enough. You know, these fly by night guys, not I wouldn't say fly by night guys because there's a couple big names that are doing the YouTubes and doing all that, but they're leaving steps out. And then these guys buy an Eastwood gun and they go try to spray something and then wonder why it turns out like shit. Well, there's a lot of prep knowledge that goes on other than
Right.
pulling the trigger. That's the
Yeah.
easiest part.
Yeah. I mean, I've noticed there's a lot of new guys now, for sure, getting into the groups and stuff. So let's see how this next group does.
We'll
But let's
see.
we got oh go ahead and talk. I'm gonna look through the comments in here. Say what you want to say and then
Yeah,
we'll
so back to that. I mean, me and you've had that same conversation about a class or something, and I by no means think that I am to a level of professionalism that I could teach a class, and that's why I haven't done it. But I feel like the knowledge that's being put out there on YouTube, if you do a quick YouTube search of powder coating, some of the things, not all of them, don't get me wrong there, but some of the things that people are seeing across all the internet, it's just crap. And then people buy these uh, cheap guns or cheap setups, and then they can't get any results. And then next thing you know, me and Zane, Clutch City Coatings, like I was talking about, me and him talk all the time, and Scott too. Scott commented on. I got a set of wheels in there too that were hot flocked from the factory. It's a whole set of big deal. I was talking to Scott about it and Zane. But these guys get those cheap guns like that and offer the information. Oh, I watched a YouTube video on how to do this, and then they spray them, and they make a little bit of change off of it, and then they go on about their day. But then that customer, the guy that I'm doing these wheels for, was so against powder coating. He's like, "Oh, these look terrible. They're this and that," and they're like, "Hey, I'll show you why
yeah.
they look that way." But as the industry as a whole, it makes us, the job shops, look terrible.
Yeah.
And
It
so
does.
that's why when I was talking to you before about maybe doing a course or something, I really wish that I could get everybody on board. Maybe not even me. I don't even care if I pay or if I charge for it or anything. But if like a couple reputable coders that are within those groups. I mean, I'm sure there's people that are way bigger than me, way more reputable and professional. Honestly, if James Terry did a course, I think he would be a billionaire. But I don't know if he runs
I don't know him. Who's that?
rapid speed coding, so I'm not sure exactly where he's at, but that dude, he's on all those groups and he comments on almost everything, and he's a good guy. He knows a lot of stuff. But man, if somebody like that, you and Ross, people that are active, that you see when you get on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, you see us people like that. Me,
Right.
you, Robert Salka, Zach Pinock, all those guys. If we all came together and made a course,
That's what I'm saying.
because I don't have the time, and none of us have the time to sit
No, we don't all have the time.
step by step by step. But if everybody got together and shot a portion, just a portion, and sent it into one person, dude, I'm telling you, there's money to be made there, and there's legitimate information that's being shared.
Every guy has his own. Every shop is a little different, right? I mean, look at Ross. He's flying to Las Vegas. He is going to be working in somebody else's shop. Now we know him. He came out here and introduced, we got to meet him for the weekend and stuff. And he runs a huge shop. It's, they've got like a 30-foot oven. They do lots of, I think they have a line as well. I mean, I'm interested to see what Ross's impression is of such a large shop, because I don't think he's ever been in one that big.
Man, because I want a 30-foot oven in a bad way.
Yeah. So, it's going to be a gas oven. We use electric. I don't know if there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve there. I mean, obviously, Tim is going to be there to, collaborate with Ross, and, he knows the equipment inside and out. So, I'm sure between the two of them, it's going to work out. But yeah, I mean, every shop's a little different, but, I think I like that variety, because sometimes it's the way Ross says things, or the way you say things, or the way Roro says things, or
I didn't even include him, or there's several others that I could think of, that if everybody just kind of came together and, hey, this is made a portion, just a portion.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the impetus of this podcast too, is, okay, if bearing that we can't put a course together just yet, it seems insurmountable, but at least we can have a weekly conversation about powder coating, and maybe over time we can all learn something new from you and everybody else. So I better keep on these comments though, because they're kind of piling up. Yeah, so here's another one. It's from Polly again, but he has Powder X reached out to you after installing his oven and spray booth. Do you know what that?
So I think I have an idea of what he's asking there. So with Powder X, when you buy from Powder X, you get a warranty, and they come out every couple of years and just check everything out. And I haven't talked to Joey about this in a while. I don't know if it's a paid thing, or if it's
it's like a follow-up thing.
Yeah, follow up, just to make sure everything's running tip top shape. So Powder X, when you purchase from them, they recommend that you have one of their technicians come out every other year and check on.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure on that 100% per se, Polly, because I know all them guys on kind of like a personal level. Not necessarily like we'd hang out or anything, but I've been to Tennessee and went to their shop and done that quite a bit of times. So I talk to them pretty regularly. I don't buy their filters as much as I should. I know that Joey probably hates that. I try to reuse my filters as much as I can, just because the price of everything is expensive. But on a normal job or I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, I spoke to I have to pull his name up now. He's running the filter side of it, but I just spoke with, let me see, I'm pulling it up on my phone. Give me 1 second. Somebody from Reliant and Powder X though about filters the other day, but I can't stay in contact with him pretty regularly. I actually need to call him and get somebody to schedule out to come look here in I don't know, another 4 or 5 months to make sure everything's still running tip top shape. So I'm assuming that's what he's talking about, warranty wise and everything. It's not to make sure that you're doing what you need to do. It's just to make sure that your equipment's running as efficiently as possible.
Okay, so let's see. Okay, let's see. We got one here from Paul Peters. If I outgas and oil drips on the bottom of my oven, I clean it with Simple Green in the morning before I fired it up. You're kind of not into the Simple Green, right?
I don't use. I have Simple Green at my shop. We degrease a lot of parts because we don't blast everything. We chemically clean a lot of stuff too. And we use Simple Green every now and then when we're running, if we don't have the other product or anything like that. But I think it'd probably be okay. I mean, I've cleaned my Simple Green before. I didn't have Fabuloso on hand, and my oven was pretty dirty. And I've used Simple Green mixed with Purple Power and a lot of water and cleaned it up. So I don't see that would be an issue. My biggest thing is every time you clean the oven, no matter what you clean it with, I like to crank it up as high as it'll go and let it run for a little bit just to burn off anything, because I don't know what, like I can't even read the ingredients on Fabuloso here, so I don't want that getting on my finished product. So I think whatever you clean it with, as long as it gets the oil off the bottom, off the floor of your oven, whatever you clean it with, and then you fire that oven up, I think you're good.
Yeah. Okay, here's one from Matthew Jones. Hi, Matthew. It's good to see you. He's been on the show like 2 or 3 times. Just lots of information. He is so learned, and he's always willing to share his ups and downs. So thanks for being on the show, Matthew. Keeping the floor clean also helps your wheels stay clean. Hot racks rolling over powder on the powder ground builds up quick. You are 100%. Ding, ding, ding. Yes.
Yeah. If you can ring a bell right now, do that, because that is a big thing. Can you?
I can. Wait. I can do it. It's got like little. Oh.
So Matt Jones, I don't know you personally. I don't know of where you're at or anything, but that is a 100%. I've had people actually come into my shop and ask why I don't spray hot. Customers, they're like, "Oh, I've seen this powder coated, that powder coated. It's always sprayed hot." I do not spray anything hot. I refuse to.
I guess this is like music. It's stupid music. That's what it comes with. It doesn't give me I can upload though, but I'll make sure to upload it. I can't believe they can't put it
that way. That would have been cool. That's like a cha-ching. That's a good point right there.
I guess it's all just background kids. People podcast with, they want background music.
Yeah, get a little background music going on.
Yeah, it's just kind of.
So in my oven, I couldn't, in relation to this statement that Matt made, my oven, I have a large crack that goes, it starts in the center of my oven, and it doesn't quite make it to each wall, but it's kind of right in the middle of my oven. And then on the left side of my oven, it gets kind of bigger. It's not just a crack anymore. It's kind of chips in the concrete and everything. And when I slow down enough to where I don't need that for a few days, we're getting it patched. But I just know how to work my racks, and I get right around them, no issues. But every now and then, if I get something heavy or something and it doesn't kind of move the way I want it to, we hit that crack. And the rest of my oven is smooth. It's polished concrete, smooth as can be. So that's the whole thing. If it was hot and you were putting raw powder in there and we're building up all the bumps and everything, I couldn't make it in mine. I mean, with a 20-foot oven, I'm not sure how big y'all's oven are. Even I've had smaller parts that weigh, upwards of 1,000 pounds. I can't roll over all those bumps and valleys if there was powder built up in there.
Yeah. Well, that was a good point. So thank you, Matthew. Okay, let's see. Where are we? So many comments. Oh my gosh, you guys are awesome.
I made a post earlier about I wanted all my people to come through.
Your Uncle Delbert says, "Great podcast. I have to hit the road. Thanks for the invite." Oh,
he must be leaving world headquarters. So he runs a fabrication shop down here in Southeast Texas. So he's always a busy man.
Okay, this one's from Ashton. Justin is a young up and comer in the industry. I respect this kid big time.
Hey, well, there you go. So earlier when I was talking about the classes and everything, I thought about it after I said it. I was like, man, I didn't mention Ashton. So he does crazy work. Have you seen his stencil work that he does on some of those things?
Yes. And I'm going to take this call, so keep
Go
talking.
ahead. Go ahead. Man, the stencil work that you do, Ashton, is outrageous. I wouldn't even attempt that. Like, I've done a handful of tumblers, and back in the old days when we were in the garage, and man, just a lot of respect for you, dude. That's wild. I couldn't do that. I can't see the comments. She can, so I'm trying to pull it up on Facebook so I can see what's going on.
Hi, sorry about that. What was caught up?
No, I was just telling Ashton how the stencil work that he does is outrageous. I mean, I wouldn't even attempt that. I'm not sure how long he's been in business, or how long he's been powder coating or not. I've been doing this for 10 years now. Started in the garage and all this, and I still won't mess with any of those stencils or vinyl pools like that. That's just not a that's not a thing that I would try. Like I said, I've tried a couple tumblers and they turned out like crap, and I'm like, all right, no.
It's easier said than done.
Yeah, it for sure is.
Ashton, if you want to join us, if you have time, it's the same link I sent you last time. And if you don't have it, let me know. Okay, let's continue on. Here we go. Shane Blackburn says Eastwood. Ha ha ha. Oh wait, here we go.
Yeah, Eastwood. Yeah. So have you ever been to Eastwood?
Everybody start. You can't bash Eastwood because everybody starts there. We all do. We know it, right?
They're like the Harbor Freight. And I'm not bashing on Harbor Freight because I use a lot of Harbor Freight around my shop too. But and you're right. Everybody starts somewhere. I started with an Eastwood dual voltage, so I can't complain. We did a lot of things with an Eastwood dual voltage and a household oven, so I can't complain about that. It just I couldn't imagine doing some of the stuff we do now at Triple G with an Eastwood. I'd like to try it though. I might need to order one and see what it's all about.
We started with one. It was $180 for the kit back then. Mm-hmm. It's not that now.
What is it now? A couple hundred.
I think the kit is like 2 something, 3 something. I mean, it's like 1,000 now. I don't know. You get extra. They keep building.
Yeah, it was like 160, 180, somewhere around there when I bought it, and I didn't even. I just needed to do a tie rod in for one of my old trucks, and that's the whole reason I started on that. And I used that Eastwood gun, and then it sat in the box for a while, and then I did a couple of tumblers and. Not pulling stencils though, just doing, a couple Yeti cups, and then here we are.
Yep. Yeah. Hold on a second. I want to. Okay. Getting stuff on my phone too. Okay. Let's see. Oh, here's one from your wife.
My wife.
Polly C.
Oh yeah, so C 250 is the shop minimum. That's what we were talking about earlier.
Okay, here's another one from Polly. GEMA replacement. Well, he's got a lot of good questions here today.
He does.
GEMA replacement parts. Do you guys go through GEMA Optiflex or buy the knockoff parts from China?
So that is a very good question. A little of both. It depends what I can get. So like right now, my nozzle is not from China. It's from Scott Coates. I got Scott Coates' high performance nozzle on there right now. I kind of feel like me and Scott had a lot of conversation about that. I don't know, 6 months ago or so before he started producing it. I tripped. I was doing a large awning, and so my oven is 20 foot by 8 foot, and my booth is 20 foot by 10 foot, and I had an awning that was 20 foot by 9 foot. Ooh, so or 19 foot by 9 foot. So it was at an angle. It was a big deal to get it all where it needed to be. And I was coming out of the booth and I tripped and I slammed my gun down into the ground and broke my nozzle, my electrode, everything. And then it was right in the heart of COVID. So I couldn't get any replacement parts, couldn't find them, couldn't do anything. Ended up ordering some Chinese parts. Didn't work like they should have. And I remember talking to Scott about it. Like, hey, do you have any extra parts? Can I buy these from you or anything like that? Because he's local. And he's like, man, I don't have any. This is my lead time for my supplier, and this and that. And then he came out with his nozzle, which is
Brilliant.
brilliant. I
Thank
love
you,
the thing.
Scott, for
Yeah, thank
innovating
Scott's an
this
innovator.
industry.
He's the way he's changing everything that we've all needed, tools that we've all needed for years is
Yeah.
crazy. But that nozzle, that's the one I'm using now, as far as Gema parts.
Mhm.
The Corona ring I have is not from Gema. I don't even remember where I got that from.
Well, hang tight because I'm trying to get Jason on from Gema, and we're going to talk about that.
Hey, that'd be
Definitely.
cool. That'd be cool. So the thing is, one thing with like Powder X, when I bought everything from them, and I love them to death. They've been great through all this. But everybody kind of has a rep, a Gema rep, local to them. I don't know of one in my area.
I think it's Jason.
I think it would probably be Jason. I've heard his name before, but
He's a nice guy.
I don't have a personal rep, and
so I'm talking to him on LinkedIn. I'll let him know.
Yeah, let him know. Reach out, because when it comes to parts, it's a hard deal. So luckily for me, when I smashed my gun, I have an older Gema gun, uses the same exact electrode and tips and nozzles and everything. So I was able to replace those and then order some more from wherever I ordered them from while I was waiting on them to come in. And then I ended up getting on. You probably know the website. I found it on one of the Facebook groups. I was typing in Gema parts, and somebody tagged original OEM Gema parts on one of these websites, and I ordered what I needed from them.
Okay.
So yes, I have OEM, but yes, I've used the Chinese stuff, and then I've also used Scott Coates' stuff. And if he keeps producing like he's producing, then we're going to keep using them.
Okay, here we go. Ashton, I offer. Oh, so Ashton, I forgot. That's right. He did talk about that. I offer a consulting program at a quarter of the price than PCI or any rep that will offer. Yeah, I mean,
I was thinking about that the other day. I was watching one of his videos, one of his reels of him pulling all those, and I was like, man, I'm gonna do that, Ashton.
He needs his own course,
Yeah, well, he's got his consulting program going on there, and I'm gonna do that. Not because I'm gonna mass produce those boxes and stuff like he does. That I have no interest in doing anything.
Yeah, but I mean,
and stuff would be cool.
If people are coming to you left and right, and it's not that you don't want to help the next guy, but if it's starting to consume, I think that's where Roro is at. He's so consumed by people talking to him and asking him how to do this, how to do that. It's inspired him to kind of move in that direction. I don't know where he's at right now. I told him I'd have him back on the show when he was ready. And I mean, if you're spending like a lot of your time helping other guys, then you should be charging some money for
a little bit of money. Yeah, make it worth your while.
Your experience is worth the price. Exactly. if you feel it in your heart. I think for us, it's like Ross is so busy and I'm so busy. We do offer it on our website. You can just go over to our website and click on our products page and buy an hour. We've had people do that. Brad from Utah Powder Works consulted us before he opened up his shop, and we had some really nice conversations. Ironically, I ended up consulting him on some stuff too. So
really,
what comes around goes around. But we all have such unique backgrounds. I mean, every time I interview a custom coder, such as yourself, like you've been in the oil industry and stuff like that, there's this level of background that you have that you're bringing to your powder coating game that is unique to you and your story, right? So all I'm saying is don't be braggadocious if you haven't been in the game for longer than 5 years or more. Don't go say I'm going to be the next consultant. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you have an established company and you are, people are reaching out to you and it's becoming time consuming, maybe you should consider doing what Ashton's doing or something like that, Okay, so let's see. I'm just saying this one to Jim Kunkel. Thank you, Jim, for coming on this, and saying something awesome conversation. I just want to let you know that Jim Kunkel works for Axel Nobel.
Hey, reach out to me, Jim. I need a Exo rep. My wife has been working on that actually the last couple of weeks. So
Yeah. Well,
that'd be cool.
he's on LinkedIn. He's kind of more in product development and marketing for. So what Jim does is he runs a podcast called Codings Talk, which I just learned about recently, and got to talking with Jim, and he actually interviewed me on his podcast. I'm gonna meet with him next month or later this month, and we're gonna have him come on our show, and then it'll be probably March till we put that episode out. Jim is awesome. He talks not just powder coating, he can talk all coatings. So they go long and deep with different kinds of coatings, and he is very well knowledged in a lot of that stuff. So great guy to know, and thank you very much for having me on his show. I look forward to seeing what the podcast turns out to be. It was I think it was refreshing to see another industry podcast, and it's very different to be on the other side of the interview, right? Because I'm always the guy asking the questions or whatever, and then somebody's asking the questions to me. So
I'm interested in that podcast. I'm gonna tune into that and take a look at it because
when it's out, I'll share it with everybody and stuff. I don't know when it's being. He just said sometime in February, so at some point, yeah. Okay, let's see. We got okay. Kavika Brash wants to know
best gun and
why.
So I'm partial. I've only ever used an Eastwood, a Harbor Freight, and a Gema. So I'm very partial to Gema. I have been at another shop and sprayed a Wagner for very minimal, just a quick pass, and I didn't have any complaints. But there's no way. I mean, there's no way to tell unless you spent some time and some hours behind the gun. For me, it's Gema, just because that's what I know and use every single day, and I've used it every single day for the last 5 years, and so that's what I know and love.
Yeah.
Not to take away, I want to try one of those. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Sam's Kremlin or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of good reviews about that. There's a couple other guns on the market that I'd be interested in trying, but we do a lot of work in a small space in my shop. So that's a whole different thing, but I can't put another gun in there. Don't have the room if I wanted to. My booth and my oven take up the majority of my shop. So,
this is kind of interesting that you're bringing it up because I am thinking about something now that it's how do you know when you don't know, right?
Yeah.
It's not like you can just go to Sears and try on all the different kinds of jeans and stuff like that. You cannot. And it's so, you'll find this attitude that we all have, like Ross's Wagner. When other people see him using his Wagner, they're like, I use a Wagner. You have this there's this grouping, like a team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's almost like an NFL thing, Mm-hmm. But you don't know. I mean, yeah, you said you had a little bit of experience with a Wagner.
We're talking 5-10 minutes. I mean, I just pulled the trigger. I didn't mess with any settings, anything like that. So
right.
There's no way I could ever compare the two without spending.
How much difference is there? I mean, that's always been the mystique. I keep waiting for the person to come out there and get all the guns out there, line them all up.
Then spray the same part over and over again, or the same similar part, with one this gun, one that gun. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, but who's they're not going to send us the $7,000 gun, right?
No, exactly.
So, I don't know. I'm going to try real hard when I get Jason on the show. We're going to try real hard.
Yeah, he might know. He might know all about it.
He might try. Yeah. So, anyways, well, let's get back to, since we've gone through most of the comments, let's get back to maybe some of your checklist things. I'm going to pull up your, let me pull up your pictures again.
No,
What do you do on your floors? Did we talk about that?
no. Well, also
Back-
we dove in on the oven, and then we kind of went from there. So on the floors of the shop itself. So let me break this down. My shop is about 1350 square feet, but it's long. It's narrow and it's long. So on over half my shop takes my booth and my oven. Those are spoken for. So my working space that I can move around in and fluctuate parts in and out of. That's a whole other thing. So when I like on those pictures, when I pulled everything out of there, I pressure washed my floors from
Okay.
there all the way out because my door is so big, it's wide open. I'd kind of just burn off my booth and my oven, and I pressure wash my floors. My entire shop floor is polished concrete, so it's very smooth. No, it's not like it's real dusty or anything from the floor itself. So I'll get in there and I pressure wash that off. After I
Mhm.
sweep it and everything, obviously I don't want to make a muddy mess. I usually sweep, blow down the walls, sweep it again, and then I'll pressure wash everything. And then at the very end of it, I'll mop everything just to get anything out of there, the
Yeah.
last little bit out of there. And I like the smell of Fabuloso, and it makes the shop smell good for a little bit.
Yeah,
So
it does, huh? For a little while.
for a little while, and so I'll do that. Now on that, like my booth side right there, I do not pressure wash inside there because I don't want to deal with rust or moisture stuck anywhere. So that's a whole other animal on itself. And I wish we would have got a picture from the outside because I don't always do it. And like this last time I didn't do it, but I try to hang some plastic or something on the edge of the booth to where it doesn't all blow out when I'm blowing.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. See what you're saying. Yeah. So it's not.
Yeah,
That's the
because
problem. Is you start cleaning and doing a deep clean. You're asking for a lot of particulates in the air, and then eventually that it's all going to come down after all you've cleaned all your surfaces, and then it'll get dusty again, right? So
exactly. So when I start this process, what I start at is I pull everything out and then I start on the booth. So then I will clean this booth completely, walls, ceiling, pull all the filters out, clean everything behind it, everything. And then from there I'll sweep all that up, clean all that up, that way it doesn't get knocked around again. And then I work my way around to the back of it. So where the back of my booth is, if you're looking at this picture
yeah,
behind that
right.
wall, there is a 6 foot void behind that wall until the wall of my shop. So then
Right.
I go back behind there and I clean everything and I work my way back around. And usually by the time I work my way back around, I have to clean this a little bit again because it's
Yeah.
got some dust and stuff in it.
So do you have a special vacuum or anything like that?
I do not. We have some fans on the if you're looking at this wall directly behind you, there is a couple of fans, shop fans that just blow
Mhm.
that out. They're mounted on the wall and they're pass through. It basically is to help me cool down in the summertime because Texas heat in the summer is terrible.
Mhm.
Uh, but they'll help me draw dust out and just send it out. But no, I don't have a special vacuum. I have my one vacuum, my shop vac that I do all my two tones with and things like that. So I'll sweep this up really good, and then I'll get it back in there in those four pocket filter holes with the
Mhm.
vacuum and vacuum
Yeah.
anything else that I need to vacuum out, and then sweep as much as I can. And then I usually take the vacuum around the corners of the booth, the three sides of the booth. But by that time, usually everything's out, and then I will mop that area. I do not pressure wash inside that area. But after I wipe the walls down, sweep, blow everything down, sweep again, countless times. I sweep probably 4 or 5 times to get all the big dust out, and then I wipe the walls down with the Fabuloso mixture I was talking about, and then I'll mop this floor. The very last thing I do is mop this floor, and then I section that side off. Now that I've got that side of the shop cleaned, because the
Mhm.
very last thing I do is so the first thing I do is my booth. The very last thing I do is my oven. So
Oh, okay.
I will
Mhm.
section that side off and then clean the whole other side, vacuum, sweep, mop, pressure wash, do all that, clean everything off one by one as I'm coming back in with everything. And then at the very end of everything, then I'll go to the booth because I don't, or not the booth, but the oven, because I don't want any blow by to settle down, in there. So I go to the oven very, very last. But we sweep the oven so often that it's very rarely dirty inside there.
What on let's talk about walls for a minute.
Okay.
I don't see a lot of powder up on your walls here, which is, I don't know if you've already cleaned it
At this
here.
point, I've already blown down the walls. I haven't wiped them yet. When this picture was taken, I haven't wiped them, but I have blown them down.
Okay. So on this other picture here, this one here, when I saw this one, I was like, oh yeah, I
Yeah,
hate
see
this.
my walls there, and so that's the fan I was talking about right there. There's two of those across there.
Yeah, these fans and this
Yeah.
fan here. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, man, I mean, I don't know how do you handle all this? Because when we moved out of our shop in Lahaina and stuff before we moved here, you know, I was like, oh my God, how are we going to clean these walls? And I mean, at that point, we hadn't managed powder and dust for a long time, like for years. And on top of that, you know, there was this crossover period where we went from painting to powder coating and then back to painting and then back, you know, so you're adding in that, you know, sticky layer, I guess.
Yeah, a little tack layer.
Right. But ironically, when we went to move, and it was drywall. So this looks like steel.
That's spray foam. That's painted.
Spray foam. Okay.
So it's got the shop wall, which is the thin sheet metal, corrugated, you know, sheet metal. Panel is what it's called. I'm not sure what y'all call it there. If there's a different name, you know, nationwide or whatever, but that's our panel.
Okay.
And then it's got a 2-inch layer of, I think it's closed cell spray foam on it.
Okay.
And then that's yellow when you do that. And then I painted my entire shop white after I did all that.
Yeah. But it was just drywall on either side of us, right? So I'm like, oh my God, how is this powder going to get off? And we literally took the hose and just went, and it came just a couple times, and it just literally just ran off the wall. So thankfully, when you know, if you ever have to move out of a shop, or you know, we were lucky. I'm assuming it's, you know, if you got drywall or something and the powder's landing on it, it'll come off. But you know, it'd be interesting to see how people clean their walls.
So like this wall right here, I sprayed it with the air hose. Just hit it with an air spray. 90% of that comes off. Like you can see on the C channel right here, there the dust layer right by that billboard or the whiteboard. You can see the dust layer on there. 90% of all that stuff comes off with the air hose. Okay. And then I will run through there with a broom, you know, and just kind of hit it real quick and knock most of it off. I have hit it with a water hose before in the past. I've done that. Now, this last time that I just cleaned up, I didn't hit it with a water hose. I didn't need to. Air hose and a brush pass and another air hose. It's all cleaned up. And no issues. But so that once you move away from the booth and the oven side of it, so where the last picture was, we were looking at my booth. Where we're at right now is almost directly behind it. From that booth. Almost like I just did a 180 and took a picture. So that's where the other side of the shop happens, and all that wall is this part is the easiest to clean. Once everything's out, that's done deal, Bobby Neal. You know, you spray it down with the air hose, mop it, vacuum sweep it. It's quick.
How long did it take you?
That took me. I started cleaning. I was only going to do a little bit of cleaning. I wasn't ready because I had a lot of jobs right there at that time, and we hadn't scheduled it. So I was only going to clean a handful of things. I was just going to do the booth and the oven. But then when I started doing the booth the day before this picture, I was like, okay, if we're doing it, we're going to go ahead and do it. So this is a full day. The day before, I'd started cleaning the booth, and so I blew down the walls and everything, but I hadn't done the deep cleaning. But this day, where this picture was taken, I started I dropped my kids off at school at 8 a.m. So I bet I started probably about 8:30, and I was there till about 10 o'clock that night. So roughly 14 hours, but moving everything out, starting from this side to that side, and then cleaning everything as it came back in. It was probably 12 to 14 hours, I'd bet.
Did you find anything that you lost?
A lot of things I lost. A lot of drill bits, a lot of wrenches that had been lost. I had that workbench that's in this picture. It sits if if in relation to this picture, if you look immediately to the left, if we could pan over, which you can't, that's where that workbench sits. And that thing gets so full of whatever powder I'm using,
Yeah.
anything like that. Just if I'm switching from this job, like today, I did 4 different colors today. So you got to think in the middle of changing all that, I just toss it somewhere and then go to the next job. That thing gets full. Um, it's wild how
We have 2 of them that Ross built. They're on wheels as well. They're approximately 4x8, one smaller, slightly smaller, left over from our painting days. These things are so rickety. They're about ready
ready to give out.
Yeah, you got to walk around them carefully because they could crash and burn anytime. But, we recently did some, shop updating, cleaning and stuff. And he's like, he keeps saying he's going to get rid of them. He's going to get rid of one of them because we really don't need 2 of them right now anymore. Because Ross bought 2 brand new tool chests from tool cabinets from Home Depot. He's got more than enough room for tools. Powder coating doesn't require a lot of tools anyways, but he's got more than enough room for everything. And so, but he has yet to throw one of them away. So I don't know, like
sentimental value.
I think he's sentimental.
That's what very, very sentimental.
I think he's sentimental.
See, I have way more tools than I need for a powder coating shop, but that just came from years, and I now finally have a place to put my tools. I work on vehicles and all that growing up and all throughout the years. But so I have one of those big Husky tool chests from Home Depot as well, and so all my tools stay fine. That bench over there, that workbench, I end up, like the other day I went through when I was cleaning everything, ended up doing powder inventory, and I had powder I didn't even know I had because it was sitting under layers of stuff.
That's a conversation for another day.
Yeah,
for sure.
Go deep into some powder inventory.
Okay, Rich King says, "Hey, I'm here. Better late than never." Hey, Rich.
Hey, what's up, Rich?
Thanks for joining us on the show. Maybe someday we'll have you join us. Okay, let's see. Paul Peters. If you have any thoughts on making a sealed room with a filtration system, this is my next major move in my shop.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I don't know how you and Ross feel about that, but that is a huge thing for me. I want to make a blast room, and I want to make a sealed room where all we do is powder in there, and that's where the booth and the oven is, and everything else is separate. But like I said earlier, my shop is small. We're working honestly, me and my wife are day and night right now looking for a newer space because we've outgrown this space.
Really? Yeah.
But it's just that's a whole process. I don't know if y'all moved shops or anything, but I mean, you got to think if we find a place tomorrow, I'm looking at probably 10, 12 weeks of being down, if not more, between moving and gas line and electrical. I don't know how things move over there on the island, but over here it doesn't move fast. So
yeah.
That'd be a whole thing.
No, our move was like a romance novel. Lots of drama.
Lots of drama. Yeah. And that's how it'll be here. Last week, so I did all this cleaning last week. And so last week I didn't do any powder coating. And I actually scheduled a few tours for couple different properties that we were looking at right now too, just because we've outgrown this. But I want a sealed room for just powder coating. The booth and oven would be in that place. We didn't take parts in one place. Shipping and receiving in one place, blast room, all that. But it just comes with expansion and having a bigger shop.
Yeah.
Do you have
an office at all or no?
I have a rolling desk that you can't see it in all that mess over there. But I have a rolling desk that I set up every day. And when my wife's at the shop, she puts it where she wants it and does what she wants to do. And that kind of thing. But there is a set of offices in the front of this building, but they ended up getting rented out to somebody else, and so we don't have that anymore. It's just originally we had it, but now we don't. So
I'll tell you, this office, it saves my marriage, this office, because I can shut that door and not see him all day long, and I'm okay because I'm doing me, he's doing him, and if we open the door, we're like,
Yeah. And that's how it is. That's how it is at my shop too. My wife will pop in and she'll do a handful of things. She's like, "All right, I've had enough of you," and then I'm going this way.
Oh man, we need to do a show on husband and wife teams. It'll be good.
Enjoy that. We probably wouldn't be able to get a word in edgewise because she'd have a lot to say about that.
Okay, so yeah, I guess that kind of goes into this first
You
question. I
blasting
kind of going
powder.
backwards here a little bit, but do you
Yes.
blast powder in the same? Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us do, and that's why we're talking about shop maintenance.
Yeah. So that's it doesn't matter which way you slice it, and it doesn't matter how big of a place you have. Powder coating is a messy business, right? Can we all agree on that? It doesn't matter. Sandblasting, it doesn't. You have the best containment. You're still going to get blast particles and media everywhere to an extent. And then powder, it doesn't matter how good your filtration is. Powder is going everywhere. I mean, I could probably lean into this, and I bet I got blue, red, and black in my ear right now. And I mean, I had my hood over my head all day and mask on, but powder's a messy business. So,
It
but yeah,
is.
I do it all in the same building.
And that was my kind of, always been my kind of pandering there was like, well, if you have a separate room that does blasting and another room that does powder coating, which one is the dirty room?
There's no telling. I couldn't tell you which one. I mean, obviously your blast booth is going to be super dirty, but I mean, right outside that door, it's got to be collecting all kinds of media and runoff and everything like that. And then,
Yeah.
powder coating, like I said, it doesn't matter. It's funny, like this picture you have up on the top runner of that wall right there. I
Yeah.
was not scraping, but when I blew it off and was sweeping it and everything, there was metallics, like just metallic powders and stuff like that coming off of it. So, and that's on the opposite end of where my booth is. It's so powder's getting there no matter what. It's
Right.
it's a dirty business. That's why it's so important to keep up with the cleaning on a regular schedule. I should be better at it, honestly. Like I'm not as good as I'd like to be on it, but
Yeah. Well, you do what you can, and then you have what happened to you earlier, which is why you got into this. Is you had a
yep,
little
I
catastrophic.
ruined a job and lost hours and money and everything else with that. So
Yeah.
it's just very important to keep it all clean if you do it all in the same building. I know there's guys on a lot of those forums and all around the nation and everything that have these separate rooms and everything, but as a job shop coder, as like myself, I don't have that luxury. I don't have those
Yeah.
separate
So,
buildings.
I mean, like, what are your daily tasks in terms of maintenance? Is there anything? Do you have time to sweep daily? Do you
I
have time?
sweep this open area that we're looking at in this picture. I sweep that daily. Uh,
Okay.
First thing in the morning, and then first thing or right before I leave. So it doesn't matter which one. I always sweep it. Now, if I did a good job the night before, the morning it's usually not bad or anything like that. But I also in my building, my door's so big, so it doesn't matter how much I clean. I still get dust that blows in from the parking lot, and it's all
Right.
concrete out there. But we have all those oak trees across the street that they just blow everything. So I sweep every morning and every evening.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think if you're not doing that, you're not creating
you're not
good
creating a good atmosphere. I mean, you're asking for trouble
good
with that.
habits. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not creating good habits. I think you definitely need to be sweeping twice a day, if not
Mhm.
more. Just depends on how busy you are, but if it's just a good habit to get into. It's a great way to make sure to train your employees so they're not kind of sitting on their phones while
Why they
the
have downtime, and that's the people
yeah.
that I've had come in and out of the shop. That was a thing. Is like, hey, I don't mind you checking your phone every now and then, but if you don't have anything to be blasting or prepping or anything like that, then we need to get behind the broom. You know, broom work's a big thing for me. My dad taught me at a young age that if you don't know how to work how the north end of a broom works the south end of a broom, then you're never going to make a dime. So that
That's good advice.
sweeping is a big deal to me.
Here's something that just kind of popped in my head, and that is, what do you do when because your wife isn't there all the time, right?
No, no,
So
my
what do
wife
you
has a full time job.
Oh, okay.
So she has a full time job, but she has the luxury that she works. It's kind of remote. It's in and out. She goes to the office a couple times a week, but her and her boss are really good together. She's a financial advisor, so
Yeah.
she just kind of goes and comes when she pleases. So she might pop up at the shop and spend all day there, and then sometimes she's like, "Hey, I got a meeting, I got to go," and so she bounces in and out.
Okay, so what do you do when you're powder coating and a customer walks in? And I mean, it's just one of those days, right? What
Yeah.
do you tell them?
So that is, obviously I can't say this, right, but I hate that, because I have to stop what I'm doing. Okay, I'd love to talk to a new customer and explain powder coating and do all that. But if I'm in the middle of powder coating and somebody walks in, a lot of times, if you see where my door is, my booth is just to the right of this, but the door stops. So if I'm in my booth, my back is to this door.
Oh,
And I
okay.
can't tell you how many times I turn around and somebody's standing there, and I don't know how long they've been there, and I don't know what goes on in y'all shop, but I turn the music up, and I might be singing and dancing and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and I turn around and somebody's there, and it makes my heart jump a little bit, and
Yeah.
we're
Because
not
you're dropping
necessarily.
out. You're in your
Yeah,
groove.
I'm in my zone. I'm doing what I want to do, but then okay, now there's a customer there. Let me go talk to him. So then it's shut the booth off, hang the gun up, take my mask off, wipe my face down a little bit. So then you're talking, a 5-minute process there, and then I talk to them. Let's say I talk to them for a half hour or however long it might be. It might be 10 minutes, might be 20 minutes, but no matter which way you slice it, it might as well be an hour because
Right.
I've done turned everything off, stopped what I'm doing, talk to them. Now I got to reset, refocus, turn everything back on. So we try to minimize drop-ins. You can't get rid of them. Drop-ins happen.
Right.
But we try to operate as a by appointment only, and not necessarily you have to have a scheduled time.
Mhm.
Just when they call the shop phone number, it goes right to my wife's phone, whether she's there or not. It goes to her cell phone, and she'll answer, and then she'll be like, "Okay, well, if you want to come by around 3 o'clock," and then she'll give me a heads up. But we still do get drop ins. I have to just, if she's not there, I have to shut down what I'm doing and go talk to
Yeah.
her.
Everybody that came in today was a drop in.
Yeah. And you have days like that. Today, I didn't get a single drop in customer. I had a couple drop in friends. That's another thing. I have friends that just, randomly show up and want to hang out and ask questions. Oh, what's that to? Or why are you doing this that way? And it's like, dude, I don't have time to explain all this. Just, hey, grab a chair and watch or go somewhere else. So I didn't have any drop in customers today, but a lot of drop in friends.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, this has been fun. Okay, wait. There's let's see. There's another question here. Actually, a couple here. Let me back it up.
I do.
I okay. Kavika says I do Cerakote, and I get a lot of people asking me to do powder coat. Okay, good.
Hey, so vice versa. I don't know if you and Ross deal with this. Y'all get asked about Cerakote?
Yes, and in fact, we're listed as not a Cerakoter, but that we do ceramic coatings, and so it's been a little tough. Um, First of all, we have one of two different kinds of collars. We have, because we're listed as Cerakoting, or not Cerakoting, but ceramic coating. A lot of people get that confused with the car body kind of.
Yeah, the protective.
So I don't know if you get a lot of those calls that
Yes. Hmm.
it's just kind of a natural thing that
See, I don't
happens.
do either or, but I get calls for both of them.
Yeah, and then we get the guys with the motorcycle, exhaust that want the Cerakote, but we've postponed that for now because we just don't have any room. We're so busy with powder coating. I
Hmm.
think what Ross is going to do is he's going to build a platform up
Yeah,
um, above the spray booth and make a smaller spray booth to, because just to do that,
just to do
and
Cerakote.
somehow tie it into, I don't know, he's got some grand plan to do that. And I think that that would be great if we could get back into that because we were making some good money. We do buy, if we do buy Cerakote, we're usually ordering from Prismatic. It's because we haven't, we're already set up
Hmm.
over
You're
there.
already
And
set up.
I know there's some cheaper ones out there. Maybe if we do get back into it, I might look into that. And we just do the dry one or the cold one. We don't do
Yeah.
the guns or any of that other crazy, crazy stuff.
Yeah, see,
Uh,
I don't do any Cerakoting. So anybody that I have that comes in and needs Cerakoting or requests it or wants me to powder coat something, but it necessarily should be a Cerakoting application, I send them all to Zane at Clutch City Coatings. I know he does Cerakoting. He's right down the street. I say right down the street. In Houston, you got to understand, Houston, Texas, everything's right down the street. It might be an hour, but it's up the street. So I just anybody that needs Cerakoting, I refer them to him. But as far as Kawika's, I hope I pronounced that right. As far as
Kavika, that's how you say it.
Kavika, like with
Kavika.
okay.
Yeah. So in Hawaiian, if it was a word that started with a W, like Waikiki,
yeah,
you say wa.
Okay.
But if the W happens after the first syllable, it's a V.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Good to know.
Kavika.
So I told you earlier, we've been to Hawaii a few times, and that tells me that I've pronounced a lot of things wrong. I've done that wrong, and I feel terrible about it.
I don't know why, Justin. It's only 12 letters.
Yeah, it's only. But so Kavika, I don't know where you're located, but if you need a lot of stuff powder coated, I would send it over to Ross Coat.
I don't know. Maybe he's getting it. Hit us up, Kavika, if you're on Maui, because if you're doing Cerakote, then we can send you some of the stuff we're getting, So let us know. I don't know. With a name like Kavika, I'm assuming you're from Hawaii, or maybe, I don't know. So he'll let us know. Okay, so we gotten some more coming in here. We're not done. Let's see. Here's another one. I mop constantly. My floor is always wet, and I try to keep my door closed when I spray powder coat.
That's a good start.
That's a good.
I think we're all in that same boat. I don't mop constantly. I sweep. Like I said, minimum twice a day, and in between jobs, if I have enough time, I try to sweep. I don't mop as much as I probably should, but I think you're doing pretty good there, trying to keep your door closed. I'm not sure where you're at. I deal with a lot of pollen where I'm at, and in this picture, you can see the trees. They have no leaves on them right now, and I guarantee every leaf that fell off that tree wound up in my shop. There's probably there's some of them leaves right there on the floor right now in this picture. So if you're keeping,
and I think keeping the door closed is a good idea. I'll tell you, in our experience, a couple times, this is before we moved here, a couple times we had a guy doing some woodworking, a couple doors down on like a weekend or something, and he was sawing, or I don't know what he was doing, and it was just all of it was blowing. You can smell the wood, right? As he was cutting and stuff, and it just, you can't have. I would just freak out. You wouldn't, like you got to close the door.
Here's something I'm dealing with. So again, I think with Texas Tea, we've established I'm in Texas, so it gets hot here. Like right now, we're in an Arctic blast. It's been like 40 degrees for 6 days straight, and it is miserable. I know that's not cold to 90% of the world, but at least for me, it is. I don't like being cold. So in Texas, it's hot in the summer, so my door stays open so I can get a little bit of a breeze. With the oven on and the Texas heat, it's miserable. So I keep my door open a lot. So it's just a habit. When I get in there in the morning, I push it all the way open, all 20 feet of it all the way open, so my shop is wide open. Well, right now, one of my neighbors that work in the same complex as I do, they rent from the same people I do. They're restoring a couple old cars inside their building. So they've been doing a lot of Bondo work or filler work, not Bondo. He gets upset when I call it Bondo. But they're doing a lot of filling work and sanding and everything. And every grain of that sand winds up in my shop.
God.
Even after cleaning and doing all that last week, I'm still finding little, like when I was sweeping up today, there's little yellow particles. I haven't sprayed yellow. So that's just something I deal with all the time too.
And you can't tell them to shut their door or anything, or
they do. They shut their door, but they blow out the shop at the end of the day.
Oh my God, I would be like livid.
No, it's ongoing conversation. We've had that conversation multiple times. Super nice guy. I'm not mad at him by any means, but if he does that, we've established times that he's allowed to do that. Because if I have a set of gloss black wheels in the oven and you're spraying that, now I'm in a bind. I'm in a bind. So let's just make sure that my oven's not on. He's good about it. He comes by, hey, is your oven on? You got this? Because where his shop door is at the back of my shop, where the way it kind of lays in is at the back of my shop, and my oven intake is right there. So anything, there's a small little gap between the main frame of the buildings and everything, so things can get by there. But any little particle that he's blowing out of his shop comes into mind. So
Yeah.
it's an ongoing conversation. That's something I've been dealing with a lot here lately, and that's kind of the main reason why I tore everything apart last week and did all this, because my shop was coated in yellow Bondo material. And I was like,
Yeah.
I don't want that to become an
Well,
issue.
I mean, the only comment that I have on Paul's comment here is that if your door is closed, how are you going to accommodate customers stopping in? And so, like, I don't
I
know
think
how
you're
your
closed.
setup is, but that was always the battle, right? You know,
Mhm.
you got to have your door down because of contamination, maybe, or next door neighbor, or whatever, and then or weather, even
Yeah.
weather, right?
Mhm.
You know, like, uh, how do you, you can't have that
Well,
every day.
it's not
You're not going
you.
to get customers.
Y'all have an office, like by the looks of it, y'all have a storefront or
Yeah.
something, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, I don't have a storefront.
Yeah. Oh no, we have. Yeah. Just.
Like a place where customers can walk in and they see you
Oh
and
here,
you.
I'll show you. Okay. Yeah. Let me show you. Uh, let me do a new tab here. Let me see. How do I do a new tab? I guess not. Let me stop sharing.
Well, as you pull that up, I'll just continue talking about it. So,
Yeah.
like a
Keep
meat shop, I
talking.
don't have that. And then even when we did have an office space, it is 100 yards away from where the actual shop is. So when people pull up, they immediately come to the door.
Yeah.
And if my
Well,
door is
this is.
closed, go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I was going to say this is our. I wanted to. I kind of shared this around a little bit yesterday, but
Oh yeah,
this.
y'all are on product finishing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to say I am so thrilled, not for Maui Powder Works per se, but for the custom coder community in general. This is a milestone, in my opinion, a milestone um, article
Yeah.
that is letting me know that the greater industry is paying it is gonna,
They're recognizing.
we're starting to get heard, I
Yeah,
think.
we're getting some traction. Yeah, especially so I get Product Finishing magazine comes to the door every month, and
Yeah, I
uh,
feel like
that's a
sometimes
big
it's a
thing.
bit of Horton here's a who, you
Mhm.
know. But here I wanted to show you our storefront really
Yeah,
is
so you have that's what I was getting at. You have the door
right.
that somebody could walk in, and then you're there all the time, right?
Literally, and it's I'm looking around. I think it's like 100 square feet,
Yeah.
maybe 150. I've
Well, hell, it
got
doesn't have to be big. It's just somewhere for customers to walk in, but
right.
for
It's small. I mean, if you had 2 or 3 customers in here, it's
you'd
tight,
be packed.
you know.
But
But
see, like something maybe Paul's dealing with, something like I'm dealing with, and like you were saying, if door, so even when my door's closed, so like today, it's been raining all day. It's been raining for the last 2 days here. That's unusual. Usually it rains, but it comes and goes. It's been raining 2 days straight here. My doors happen to be closed most of the time, but also with my small space, when I take one rack out of the oven, like I have one rack that's 14 foot long, and that's where we put all the big stuff on, right? And it goes in and out of the oven. If I got to take that out and put another rack in, that rack has to go completely outside.
right.
So if the door's closed, door has to be open at that point. So my door is constantly moving. And if it's closed all the way, I don't have a way to greet customers. Customers pull up and think I'm closed. So I always try to leave the way my door is set up. It's not a roll up door; it's a sliding door. Uh,
Slider.
yeah, it's a slider, and I hate it. Like that's one of the things that I'm gonna miss one day when I'm looking back on all this. But me and that door fight every day. Uh, it's it's a pain in the ass to move it back and forth. But I always try to leave it in Paul's comment or question here. I always try to leave it at least a 2-person length open. That way,
Yeah,
you know,
so then it looks like you're
looks like
peeking
somebody's there, because if it's closed
in.
all the way, whether it's a roll up door or a sliding door, if it's closed all the way, people pull up, they're like, oh, he's not there, and I'll just come back later, and
Yeah,
then you really were there, and then next thing you know, they went to the coder down the street, or where
right.
elsewhere with their business.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the roll up doors or the doors, is we've got a roll up door and they're all like aging over here. Our neighbor replaced 5 of his doors just because literally they were, I mean, and you're pulling the chain, and
Mm-hmm.
as you're pulling the chain, you're looking up to make sure it's all lined up and everything, and then there's like rust particles falling in your eye.
Now you're contaminating your shop.
And then you're like, Wait, is that rust particles in my eye? And is this thing gonna fall on me someday? I mean, like seriously, it's one of those kind of things,
I'm
right?
worried that my door is a sliding door, and only reason we haven't replaced it yet is because I told my landlords that I would replace it. That's fine, but I'm not going to put a 20-foot door in there. I'm going to have to put
Yeah,
a 14-foot roll up door. That means so we're going to have to wall off and do some structural work there, and so that's the whole reason I haven't done that to this point yet. But I'm
yeah.
scared. My door is so old and it's heavy. It's heavy duty. One day it's just going to fall over. I'm going to be pushing it open or close, and it's just going to say, "Okay, I've had enough," and fall over.
I lay down and die now.
Yeah, I'm over with. We'll see you.
Okay. Oh boy, we got a novel here from Rich King.
Oh,
I
Rich has it. This is unfair. I've just read the first sentence. He's got a dedicated chem stripping, which I do all of.
know.
Stripping, blasting, powder coating, everything is in one building.
I'm just jealous of Rich all the way.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's an unfair advantage. He's got it all going on.
He has the nicest posts. He has the nicest setup. Every time he posts something, I'm like, how come we don't have that? Or how come we can't do that? Or, you
Hey, he
know,
posted it was like a year and a half, 2 years ago, maybe now, when he built that new strip tank and stairs and stuff for his strip area and his chemical stripping. And I've been jealous ever since. I want something like that in a bad way, but I have to deal with what I have available, and I don't have that. But
yeah.
I don't know Rich personally, but I like his stuff every time I see it. It
Yeah,
seems
to
like
his
it's good.
point, it being compartmentalized has its advantages for sure. Don't you agree?
My powder room finished ports. Oh yeah, I would definitely say if I had a car, if I could stand alone, do things like he's talking about, like have chem stripping here, blasting here, powder coating here. I mean, all of us, not just me. I think all of us. That's very nice. That'd be
Yeah.
cleaning would be a hell of a lot easier. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and I think Ross, like when he finally broke down and said, "Okay, let's hire somebody," it was. I think one of his biggest things was, um, y- you know, is there going to be enough room for two people to be walking around in here? You
That's
know what I
something
mean?
I fight with every day, and that's why I haven't actually brought anybody on full time.
Yeah, but
Be-
I I guess he was more concerned for the employee than the employee would be concerned. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
He's more
100%.
concerned about their well-being, right?
Hmm.
But Rob's worked out great, and they don't seem to have any kind of. It's not as what it was in his head. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so that's a big thing that I've battled. The same exact thing. Like I said, I've had people come in and go, and they just didn't work out for whatever reason. And I've had a couple guys that were really good, but they got better offers. But I haven't ever brought anybody on full time because that's exactly what I think. Is like I'm
Yeah.
not worried about them, worried about me. But with
Yeah.
us in close proximity, um, I'd worry about me over managing them or micromanaging them or stepping on, not stepping on their toes because it's my business and whatever. I want them to do what they need to, what I expect them to
Right.
do. But I know how I am, and I know that in that close proximity, I'd kind of be micromanaging them a lot more than I probably should, and I've caught myself doing that. So that's why I've hesitated on bringing somebody in on full time. But that's also just got to a point where I don't have a choice. So
Yeah.
in order to grow, I'm going to have to figure it out.
Yeah. Hi. I just had a customer walk in. So,
Oh,
but
okay.
no, we're fine. What I'm going to do is just let everybody know that I popped the link to this article in the chat. So check it
Oh, for
out.
product finishing? Yeah.
Yeah. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop up this next comment, and then I'll just have you talk, and I'm going to turn off my mic for a second. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll read it out here. I see it. So I'm new to the industry. I'm using Harbor Freight blast pot with upgraded plumbing. 100 pounds of media only lasts me 10 minutes before I have to sift. I spend so much time sifting my side feed gun doesn't give me. So it sounds to me, so I use a Harbor Freight pot too. It's got a Mary Blast tap kit on it, and I use that in my blast cabinet. So anything larger that won't fit in my scat blast cabinet, I take out back and we blast it out there. And then anything super large, I outsource. to another guy down the road. That's all he does is blasting. But for your Harbor Freight pot, if you're going through 100 pounds of media in 10 minutes, you need to turn the valve down a little bit. It sounds like you're just spitting out sand or media, and you're not getting a good pressure buildup behind it. Because even when I use my Harbor Freight pot outside, 100 pounds of media will last me for a little bit. That's having 120 psi go to it, and then I have my other valves cracked and throttled to where I'm getting a good mixture of air to media ratio. 10 minutes is pretty quick. It sounds like you have it wide open, and you're probably not getting an efficient blast out of that. I'm not the expert on that. That's just how I think about it, thinking about my setup, because I use the same thing. I don't know what upgraded plumbing you have, but I use a Harbor Freight as well. And then you use a siphon feed gun for your powder. I've never used a siphon feed gun for my powder. So I think the Harbor Freight has a siphon feed gun now. Back when I used the Harbor Freight gun, it was just like the Eastwood, cup gun. I guess that's the same thing. I'm not the right person to answer that. Maybe when she gets back on, she'll be able to tell you all about it. I would recommend, first off, your pot's fine. Your blast pot's fine. You just need to fine tune that thing. Shoot me a message and I'll help you with whatever I can, because the blast pot's fine. But as far as the powder gun, I would look into the next model up gun, which would be in the $1,000 to $2,000 range gun, to see and just get away from the siphon feed gun. Like I said, I haven't used a whole lot of those. I use a Gema, so I don't know. I don't have those issues. They kind of serve it up on a silver platter too. It's really unfair. Like I said, I used to use an Eastwood dual voltage gun, but that Gema just serves it up on a silver platter. That's the easiest part of the job, is once you know your KVs and your microamps and things like that, it makes it easier. I wouldn't upgrade the blast pot though. That's your last question. I'm kind of skimming through this again, make sure I didn't miss anything. And higher CFM for your siphon gun I think a little bit more pressure would probably help. But as far as your blast pot goes, your blast pot's fine. I don't know what kind of plumbing you have on it. Like I said, you might need to change out a few of the internals on it, whether it be larger diameter or smaller diameter for your plumbing, but your pot's fine. I'm not sure what PSI you're running to that either. Like I said, I keep mine on 120 PSI, and I'm not running out of 100 pounds in 10 minutes. That's outrageous. You're spending a lot of time on that. So you back?
I'm back.
Yeah, so I don't know. I answered his question as far as his blast pot and things like that, because I use the same setup. I don't know what upgraded plumbing he has, but I use the same setup. So I gave him my kind of rundown of it. But as far as a siphon feed gun, I don't really think I'm the best person to answer that, because I don't have that issue. I'm not sure what kind of siphon gun he's using.
Yeah, I'm using Harbor. Well, all I can tell you is we did talk about CFM, we did talk about media, and we did talk about we've had like 4 or 5 different shows on blasting. So I would just scroll through, and I know, like, if you see something that says Joe Taylor, not Joe Taylor, Jeff Taylor. Jeff Taylor's been on the show a couple times. He's from Blast One. And then I had, in terms of safety and beryllium and all of that, I had the vice president of Garnet USA out of Texas, that talked about beryllium and silica and all that. And then I had show number 50 was Brandon Acker from Titan Abrasive, talking about dust collectors and stuff like that. So I would say, as far as I remember, you need to have a high CFM.
Yeah, you definitely need a high CFM for your blast pot, but I use the same blast pot he's using. And then,
I see.
and I use it indoors and outdoors. But running through 100 pounds of media in 10 minutes,
Oh no, that's bad.
that's outrageous. It sounds like he doesn't have his mixture right, like his air to media ratio right. Sounds like he's probably got his media wide open and air probably is throttled down. If I was to guess,
It's more, you
without
need more air.
I think
Yeah.
you need more air and less
That's
media.
where the CFM comes in.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, what is it, 150? In the show, we talk about it. So go through all those podcasts, just kind of scroll through them all. Roscoe, what is it? Well, it's, you can go anywhere to find the episodes, but okay, let's see. Go on to the next one. Michael Anderson says, "Oh, Rich Rich. This is a question for Rich. Maybe Rich could. Oh, he's
So Michael Anderson is a guy that I'm working with right now on a stripper because I don't know if y'all have had to deal with any stripper, chem strippers, but it's hard to get any of them. Everybody's a couple of weeks out,
getting
12,
better
14,
though.
16. It is getting better.
Yeah, I talked to Valerie from Benco, and she says it's getting better.
Is it? So I haven't called Benco in a couple of weeks.
The shipping, it's the shipping now that's kind of still lagging. The chemicals are starting to come back in,
Mm-hmm.
and I would say it's across the board. It has nothing to do with Benco or
It's everywhere. It's I mean I've talked to half a dozen different companies.
Yeah.
But Michael Anderson, he works for, I had to pull it up in his email, but he works for a local company here in Houston that he actually come by the shop and talked to me about a few things, and I need to purchase it from him. I haven't purchased it from him yet, but he's got a product that needs to be heated, but they're certain that it strips powder within a fair amount of time. So
yeah,
I will be posting about that once I get it and everything. I need to purchase it from him, and me and him still have.
We will too. We just bought the Benco 6-wheel strip tank, the eChem one.
Yeah.
So we haven't quite. It installed relatively easy. I'll just give you this. It installed pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the humbug thing for us was because right here in front of my desk here is where the electrical panel is.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we had to locate. If you see the wood there, that's our blast room, and then behind that is where the new tank is, in our stripping,
little area.
So, we had to run a fair amount of electrical to
get over there to the panel.
Yeah, so that was a little bit more than we had anticipated. I mean, in terms of like, wow, okay, yeah, we got to run it around the whole shop almost.
So here's with my. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, when we turned it on, it's got some kind of sophisticated PID, and it seems to take a long time to adjust to heating.
Oh, really?
And it says that it's an auto tuner type of PID. I don't understand that just yet. And there wasn't really, I just want to let you know, Benco set everything that we needed up front, just so you know. I mean, there was nothing more to read.
Yeah.
She reached out to her rep that is in charge of these control panels, and he sent and emailed us too as well. So it's just something that we need to kind of figure out. We weren't sure if we had, maybe we didn't wire it up right or something. So Ross is still, I guess, troubleshooting it right now. It does turn on and all that stuff. It's just fine. It runs just fine. It's just how soon does it get to temp? That's the problem right now that we're working through. So.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of time. So hopefully here soon, like I said, me and this Michael Anderson, we're working together right now. He's got a product he thinks is comparable to a bunch of the strippers on the market and less dangerous. I don't know about Ross or anybody that deals with y'all, but I have a few scars on me from different things, different strippers, and this is supposedly comparable to B17E. It just needs to be heated a little bit, and so I'll be posting a review about that here in a couple of weeks. Once I purchase it from him and get everything situated, I'm building the tank right now. Me and him were actually texting earlier today because we're working on building a tank for it right now.
Awesome.
So hopefully I'll be able to give a review on that, and then maybe send a little business his way if everything works the way it needs to.
Absolutely. I'm all for sharing whatever and whoever products are willing to come on the show and talk about whatever it is they have. Um, we need to get as much out there because maybe you are close. Maybe you're closer to this guy, and it's easier to do that than somebody else. You know what I mean? Okay. Oh, Kavika, you're in Wailuku. Come by the shop. Come say hi.
Was that on the same island?
Yeah, that's in next town over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Come on by. Open invite. It collects the dust as it falls. I don't know. I think that was just a response to
the wet floor.
The wet floor, yeah.
Well, that's better than it floating around in the air.
But he's located in Michigan and have cottonwood, yeah, all kinds of pollen crop, yeah. Rich King knows what I'm talking about, yeah.
That's why Rich King is compartmentalized and has different setups.
Yeah.
Places.
Now
That's why we're all jealous of his setup.
Rich King says, no kidding. Doorbell. That says, yeah, okay, good. There you go. See, you solved that problem.
Yeah, you got it going on.
Yeah. Or a ring or something, one of those, things you can put on the doors. And he says you need to have a fresh filtered air coming into the shop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe in the wintertime, especially, huh? Or I don't know. I don't know if it's different in the wintertime than summertime over there.
I don't know. In the wintertime here, I have my door closed as much as possible. Like I said, I have to open and close it throughout the day. But as long as I have it closed, and I sometimes leave my oven door open to heat it up. Yeah. I do not like the cold. I'm not a fan of cold. I don't know how you boys do it up there in Michigan, but I don't like it. It's not a thing for me. So I keep it as hot as I can in my shop.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. I don't know if we've talked about everything. In cleaning and stuff. But I know we've covered a lot of the basics here with this show. And
and if there's anything that we missed, I mean, we can obviously circle back and do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. And, send, if you have any questions, because this is going to end up on it. Right now it's live on YouTube and Facebook and a few other places. But if you have a question that we didn't answer, once we've posted it, and, we can certainly go through those questions and answer them as well. So I'm just thrilled that we've had a great turnout. This has been perfect timing because part of it is just trying to figure out when people are around to be watching and have the free times to enjoy and hearing about you and stuff like that, Yeah,
and going back and forth with the comments. I mean, that was awesome.
Yeah, and tolerating my customer coming in a phone ringing.
I know it's middle of the day over there, so I could never do this in the middle of the day of mine.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone, and look forward to seeing you on the next live. I'm going to be going to Powder Coating Week next week. I've got 2 shows that I've recorded, so I'm hoping to kind of try to get some of them started and put out before I leave. I'm not sure I can do that, but I'm going to try. And what else? I might be gone for a couple weeks, but I'll be online and stuff, and
Oh, y'all just traveling all over the world between you and Ross. Come on. He's going down to Florida. He's going to Vegas.
I know. I think it's better that way. No.
That's a long flight for you, huh? Do you have to? It's not direct, huh? You have to stop somewhere.
Yeah. I leave at 11 o'clock at night from Maui, and I fly into LA, and then at 6 o'clock. So I'm hoping I'm going to take a lot of sleepy pills, and try to. I actually think the jet lag might not be so bad as the last time I went, because I didn't get very much sleep on that last one, and I just got really bad jet lag. But we'll see. If I stop in LA, I think it's just a small layover, and then I head over from there to Orlando and stuff. But yeah, I might be swinging up into North Carolina. I'm not sure yet. I have an open thing. I don't have a flight home yet. I just get over there and figure my shit out.
Nothing wrong with that. Make a vacation out of it.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody, thank you again for joining us. You can always follow us, like us, subscribe. I don't like saying that stuff, but you know what I'm talking about. So we'll see you next time. And thanks again, Justin, for gracing us with your time. And Ever, I know it's time. It's late over there. You got kids.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Maybe I should thank your wife.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. It was a good conversation.
Yeah, it was. It was time we talk about it.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
All right. Bye.